Welcome, everyone. Welcome. My name is Ed Minima. I'm the executive director here at the National Eagle Center, and it is a pleasure to have you all here on a day of celebration, unification, and I just have to say, welcome to the home of our national bird. And before we start, I want to recognize a few of our honored guests. We have such a spectrum of folks here that all chipped in to make this happen. And so I think it's appropriate that we definitely recognize these folks. Of course, Senator Amy Klobuchar, Mr. Aaron Eberhardt from Representative Finsted's office, Mayor Emily Durand, and city council members and chamber members. We also have the National Eagle Center Board of Directors. I want to point out Tony Smith right here. Thank you, Tony. And Al Cooper. Where did Al go? There, Al. Thank you. We also have some former executive directors. Mary Beth Garrigan. Where did she go? Where is Mary Beth? There you are. Thank you for being here. And Ralph Thompson. Ralph, where'd you go? There you are. Thank you. Many of our National Eagle Center supporters and donors are also here today. Thank you very much. All the veterans who came, I'm just honored. And last but not least, our incredible National Eagle Center staff and volunteers. They put this together in about 2 days. And I just can't say enough about how organized they all are. So if you see them today, please shake their hand, say thank you. So with that, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Senator who really needs no introduction, just an avid supporter of the National Eagle Center, Senator Amy Klobuchar.
Well, thank you so much, Ed. Hello, Angel, in there. Thank you, everyone, for being here. It's just such a great time to see all of you here and think about what a team effort this has been from Ed and the staff at the National Eagle Center who do such a wonderful job, to the mayor who has spoke to me about this several times, to Preston Cook. He gets an applause on his own, from the National Bird Initiative that is literally nationally putting Wabasha on the map in such a big way with these national stories on PBS and on just tons of media. There's nothing better than calling Steve Scalise and saying, let me send you a national story about this. I want to thank, speaking of the House, Brad Finstead for his leadership on this bill. We have, where are you? There he is. Everyone's on other sides. We've got Aaron with his office here, and Brad and I had a lot of fun working on this together, and in fact, our whole delegation. And that doesn't happen on many things. Democrat, Republican, throughout the state was co-sponsoring this bill, and that really meant a lot when Tina and I made the case in the Senate, as well as over in the House. I also wanted to thank my lead Republican sponsor in the Senate, Cynthia Lummis from the great state of Wyoming. They have a few Eagles there, who also happens to be my neighbor in the apartment building where I rent, and maybe that helped, I don't know. But we were able to put a really broad coalition of people together, including Mark Wayne Mullen, who's a veteran from Oklahoma, to be able to get this done. Before I go on about where we are and how important this is that we now have the eagle as our national bird, I did want to acknowledge the passing of Jimmy Carter. He earned a special place in the hearts of Minnesotans because he was smart enough to pick a Minnesotan as his vice president in Walter Mondale. We will always remember, for those that were around back then, the Grits and Fritz ticket. And they came in at a time of a lot of breakdown of trust and economic uncertainty. They governed with dignity. But I think the most important lesson that we learned from Jimmy Carter is what he did after that. After he had lost his election for president, he didn't just go and bury his head in the sand. He actually went out there, to use a verb that we might like to use at the Eagle Center, and soared. He soared by establishing the Carter Center that I visited in Atlanta. Of course, I was the only one that walked in there and said, "Where's Joan Mondale's inaugural dress?" Because all I cared about was the Mondale stuff, but it's a really good place. And also Habitat for Humanity, where they build millions of homes across our country, including right here in Minnesota. He was a relentless force of good after leaving the presidency and a model for so many people. So we're going to miss him, but I will note as we move to our agenda today that both he and Rosalind were avid bird watchers. I don't know if you ever saw this. I've seen you remember this. They love birds, and so I just know he's looking down on us saying this is a cool thing. The strength, the tenacity, and the independent spirit of the bald eagle also define the people in this room that work to make this true, whether it's Preston, whether it is the staff of the Eagle Center, the volunteers. Every time I come here, there's always incredible volunteers, the city of Wabasha, or whether it's our veterans who have been such a big part of this center from the very beginning. The National Eagle Center was a draw for nearly 49,000 visitors last year. 49,000 visitors. And that's before Preston has generated all these national stories with all of his interviews and the like. Seeing these birds up close, you can feel just how majestic they are, and you can understand why our founders chose the bald eagle to appear on our nation's official seal. Since then, the bird has appeared on public buildings, quarters, $1 bills, military uniforms, T-shirts, and more than just a few tattoos. The bird is so prominent that, of course, many people assumed the eagle was our national bird. I know some senators did, because I had to talk to practically half of them to explain this, and to, by the way, explain this place and how important it is to our nation. So Preston was doing some research and came upon this fact. And then he came to me and Brad Finstead and the rest of our delegation, and we put together legislation. It took a while because we wanted to get people on so it was half Democrats and half Republicans, and we also wanted to make the case of why this was so important. Preston has been a passionate advocate for the American bald eagle, as many of you know, dedicating more than 50 years to studying and preserving this iconic bird. During the time he curated, that 50 years, a collection of over 40,000 eagle-related items. Is it true that your wife said you couldn't have them all in your bedroom anymore, and so you had to give them?
She wanted an eagle-free zone in the house.
Okay, yeah, and so my husband actually told me that story this morning, as maybe he was commenting on too many Christmas items that I brought in. He was mentioning, since I was going here, maybe I needed to talk to you about giving things away to a museum. So here at the National Eagle Center, you can really gain an understanding of why we can't take the bald eagle for granted. In 1782, the U.S. was home to as many as 100,000 bald eagles. But over the centuries, poaching, habitat destruction, the use of DDT devastated the population. And by 1963, which really isn't that long ago, it was on the verge of extinction. America took action to protect the bird, including banning DDT under President Nixon and placing the eagle on the endangered species list. Today, the population is soaring, with more than 300,000 eagles living in our country, with 70,000 nesting pairs. With nearly 10,000 of those nesting pairs in Minnesota, our state has the nation's largest population outside of Alaska. With the designation of the bald eagle as our national bird, there will be even more energy and attention on protecting these incredible birds and ensuring Americans know their story. At a time when it seems harder than ever to cross the river of our divides, passing this bill shows that we can come together to celebrate our shared history and the values our country was founded on, those values of freedom. You think of the eagle soaring over this beautiful river, the values of being stewards of our land, which this area is all about here, the values of telling the stories and passing the stories on to kids like you, and doing that not only in the story of the eagle, but also actually having eagles housed here so the kids can see them firsthand. This was a home run in so many ways for our country, and I was honored to be a part of it. But I can promise you I wouldn't have been a part of it without the hard work of this center and Preston. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to, shall we go to Preston next, and then we'll hear from the mayor. Thank you. Preston. Thanks.
Well, I've got some prepared remarks here. But first, I want to thank President Biden for giving us a great Christmas present this year. It was one of the best that I could have ever received. So I want to spend a little bit of time thanking the people. This is not about one person. This is about a lot of people that have been involved in this effort to make the bald eagle our national bird. Senator Klobuchar introduced the bill in the Senate. She was the lead. She led in the Senate on making sure this had a unanimous vote, which is difficult to do in our political times now, and so I really appreciate all the work she did and all the work that the staff did to achieve a very smooth ride through the Senate in a unanimous vote.
That happens with everything.
And I want to thank our other senator from Minnesota, Tina Smith, along with Senator Loomis from Wyoming, and Mark Wayne Mullen from Oklahoma, to give it a bipartisan touch, which I think is important these days. So we did have good bipartisan support going into this bill from the beginning. So I appreciate all that they did. I want to thank Congressman Brad Finstead for leading the effort in the House. He represents the Eagle Center. He represents Wabasha. He's doing a great job in Washington for us. And he and his staff went out of their way to make sure that this also passed with no opposition whatsoever in the House of Representatives. So I'm really pleased with the work their staff did and what Congressman Brad Finstead did. I also want to thank the 34 members of the tribes of the Midwest Alliance of Sovereign Tribes. They got involved early on, and it was really important support for them. And of course, it's their spirit bird, so it was important for them to designate this as our national bird also. So I'm really pleased with not only their support, but we had support from other tribes around the country. And the American Legion. We have a great turnout of the American Legion. We had posts all over the state and several national organizations that supported this bill early on, which was helpful in talking to other members of Congress and Senate on the passage of this bill. So thanks, Post 50 here, which I'm a life member of. Thanks for your showing a good show here today. We also had a lot of raptor centers around the country, a lot of zoos around the country that supported this. And of course, the National Eagle Center, I want to thank them for being a sponsor of this bill. I think that was critical to have the National Eagle Center in the forefront from day one on this bill. But we have others too that were involved that kind of didn't get as much attention as I have on this bill. We have Jack Davis, who was one of the members of the National Bird Initiative. He is a Pulitzer Prize-winning author. He wrote a book about bald eagles last year, which we have for sale down here also. And he gave a conservation and environmental touch to this. So it was important for Jack to be involved in this. We have a lobbyist. We had to get a lobbyist. Don't you usually have to get a lobbyist? Not all the time. Well, we did. We had a great lobbyist, and with a local connection, Jana McKeague and Tom Foley. You know, they were watching this bill on each step of the way. It took a lot of different steps and a lot of different people they had to talk to. So I'm really pleased that they were able to achieve the goal with their deft hands. Teresa McFarland also, she did our media around the country and did just a wonderful job on making sure that everyone knew about it, which I think helped also with with members of Congress, that there's a lot of support for this bill out there. And I don't want to forget John Woodley. John, come up here. John Woodley played an important role in this whole thing. He did the behind-the-scenes work. I mean, I wrote the bill and put it on his desk and said, go ahead and do it. And he did all the hard work, all the emails, all the phone calls. So I give him a lot of credit for pushing this thing along. You want to say a few words?
No, thank you.
No?
This is your show, Preston. Take it away.
So we had this wonderful Christmas present from President Biden. So this year has been quite a year for me, of course, following this thing along. We were able to do it in 1 year, which is a little bit unusual for a bill getting through Congress, with all the support that we have. And I kept confident and optimistic all the way through, even though there's a few bumps in the road that usually happens. But we got through all of those bumps and got it through. So what this does, it corrects a 248-year omission in our laws in the United States. So as we know, on June 20th, 1782, the eagle was adopted as our great seal. But for some reason on that day, they failed to name it our national bird. But I think they had other things on their mind, like a revolution. So I think a bird at that time wasn't that important for them. So how this all began, and I don't want to dwell on this too long, but how all this began was in 1966, and I saw a movie called 1,000 Clowns. And in that movie, it had one line, you can't have too many eagles. So I walked out of the theater and said, I'm going to start collecting eagles of all things, but I did. And I had a little history of collecting even when I was 19 years old when I saw the movie. So I walked out and said, I'm going to collect eagles. And what were the first eagles that were given to me? By the U.S. Army. So I was drafted in October of that year, 1966, and I was issued these buttons, which I wear today. They've probably been on a dozen different blue blazers over the last 60 years. So I wear them proudly as a veteran all these years. So the collection consists of about 40,000 items, and I donated the collection to the National Eagle Center. I was a little bit tired of being called a hoarder, and I wanted to be called a donor, so I decided it's time to give up this collection, take them out of my house, take them out of the warehouse, and bring them to Wabasha at the National Eagle Center. So here they are for everyone to enjoy. And you'll see we have a gallery that has about 250 items in it, which represents less than 1% of the collection. I just want to leave with a statement that I like, and that the bald eagle has two wings. It has a right wing, and it has a left wing, and it has a middle body. So that eagle represents all Americans. So we'd be proud of what it represents, that it is our bird now, it is our national bird, and it's a symbol of freedom, it is a symbol of liberty, independence, strength, family, and patriotism. Thank you.
Thank you, Preston. Now I'd like to introduce our Mayor of Wabasha, Emily Duran.
Thank you, Ed. I need Jared right away. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. This is wonderful, and I love being the last to speak because I already know that all the important things are going to be stated, and I just get to relish this moment with you. And what I am feeling and sensing is what an incredible lesson in civics this is for all of us. I'm glad there are fourth graders here and even younger kids. But it really does show you what it takes to take a passion of your own and inform your federal government about something that maybe we all valued and thought was there for us and actually wasn't. So it's an incredible moment to be here in the center as well. Thinking about the live bird as that symbol. If you are a person who has never really taken an in-depth look at the collection that Preston has brought to us, you will marvel at how it connects with you on many levels. You will come here with somebody who shares completely different interests, and you'll both find something you're very passionate about. I regretfully admit that when I learned about the collection as a relatively new resident of Wabasha, I thought, oh my goodness, the Eagle Center is going to take on this collection of sofa-sized eagle paintings, and how are they going to exhibit this? I had no knowledge of Preston's passion, the time and dedication, and many hours of study that he'd put into the collection. And my first experience with it was a little glimpse that he provided in one of the Main Street buildings. And the moment I walked in, I saw the Audubons, first of all, but the Andy Warhol. I have an art history degree. I didn't know Andy Warhol painted an eagle, and was quickly educated about this endangered species series that he had done. And I was just brought to tears that this resource exists for all of us. It really doesn't matter where it's presented, but it's so very, very special that it's presented here on our Main Street in Wabasha, Minnesota, with the amazing, majestic Mississippi River and all of the actual eagle habitat all around us. It's really remarkable. And that is due to hundreds of dedicated volunteers and leaders over many, many years who saw the potential for telling this story, the environmental story as it relates to the near eradication of the eagle, as Senator Klobuchar spoke to, but really down to the moment of me turning the corner, thinking that I knew what was going to be in this exhibit, and seeing Wabasha native Colonel Jim Knowles' uniform on the wall, and again being brought to tears about how significant that is as a part of this exhibition. So please come back, spend many, many different visits here with different interests, and whatever you're passionate about, think about how you can inform your community, whether it means being a part of a board of directors, or being on your city council, or being on the library board, or involving your school kids, because it's that kind of dedication and passion that brings us to this moment. And that's what Preston brought, was this desire to find out the truth about this national bird fact. And I, even in looking at the history of this issue, noticed that even today on the National Library of Congress, there's still corrections to be made. So I'm sure Preston's probably been trying to make copy edits to a lot of people's work for many years, but now it's going to be already all over the national media, so everybody who's ever worked on this topic can go back and make that correction. And as Al said, he wouldn't miss this for the world. This is a historic day for certainly those who have been engaged in this issue, but for all of you present, and for everyone, for all Americans, this is an historic and important day. So we thank you for being here to celebrate with us in person. And again, just spend as much time as you can contemplating the meaning of this moment, because you got to see it with your own eyes. So with that, I think we are going to take a few pictures. I don't know if Ed has any more instructions for all the other guests that are here. I'll let him take care of that. Thank you again.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, now we get to the most important guest that we have with us, Ambassador Angel. And so this is our time to bring her out. And Al Cooper, who is also a board member and longtime volunteer, and has trained Angel since what year? What year do you think?
Going back to
1995. 1995. Al and Angel have a special relationship, and we're just honored that we can all be here to witness this. So yes, we are going to do, where's Tiffany? Is Tiffany here? Tiffany, where are you? Tiffany is coordinating us for our photo op. So we would like to have Angel make an appearance first, and then we will arrange the electeds and our special guests around Angel for a photo op. Sounds good.
We're actually doing this backwards.
Oh.
Yeah, we gotta get you guys all set up first.
Oh, we're going to get set up first,
Yep.
okay?
And so then what I need you guys all to do is stand up.
Okay.
And then we're gonna push all of this back against the
Okay.
wall.
Thank you.
Okay, good. And I'm gonna have you stand right at this line here. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna have Amy stand next to Preston, and then we are going to have Emily, and then Aaron, if I can have you down here. And you are actually going to stand right next to Emily, and you're not getting away.
Oh, okay. Where do you want me?
You're gonna be standing next to Aaron here. Okay, and then I'm gonna have you all kind of squeeze in a little bit more, act like you like each other. Okay. Awesome. And then what I need all of you to do is to stand nice and still. Al is gonna be bringing Angel out. Angel, by the way, is our 25-year-old bald eagle ambassador. She is the oldest ambassador that we have here at the National Eagle Center. Originally with us due to a wing injury. And so Al will be handling Angel. Angel is going to come out and take a look at this space and see all these wonderful people who came to see her. You are more than welcome to take video and photos. Please, if possible, turn flash off. Flash is a little bit blinding to us, but especially to someone who has eagle eyes. And so Al is going to bring her out. And then I'm going to step out of the way here once we have her step out. You all are going to stay here after we take the photo. Al is going to take a step back and I will redirect you to who is taking photos next.
Okay. No puffing up, you know, knowing when you know you're the national bird. Good moment. Yeah. Look at that pride. He doesn't really have his one. Okay. We'll get a little, there we go. You there, Preston?
Al, you gotta come this way. Al, you gotta move. We can't have someone behind Angel.
Yeah.
So you gotta come this way.
Oh, Preston?
Preston,
Okay.
you gotta go that way.
Yeah,
Yep.
Angel.
All
Angel likes people in front.
In front of her, yes.
So Preston, you're going to come back up to this line. And then you two are going to be in the photo. I'm going to have you three step back.
Okay, perfect.
Right. Then Al, when you are ready, you can step back in.
So how
When you're
often you
comfortable,
see?
you can step back.
Every 2 months.
Yeah, yeah. How long does she like to sit out there?
Oh, she's forever. Come on, get started.
Yeah.
Amy is definitely our old pro. Are you good if I switch out Amy?
I'm good.
Okay, Amy, you're going to take a step back and Emily, you will step in. And then Al, when you're ready, you can come back on in.
Okay, there we go.
All right, and then Emily, I'm gonna have you step back, and then Aaron, you'll come in. And then Al, when you're ready, you're good to go. Awesome, Aaron, I'll have you step back, and then you all stay right there, because we're gonna get one more photo with just Preston and Al. So Al, whenever you're ready again, this will be your last one. Sorry. We actually have two more, Al, sorry.
No problem.
ready for us to add Ed?
Okay.
Okay. Preston, you stay there. All right, Al, this is it. One more and then you're good. All right, Al, you can put Angel away when you're ready. Thank you very much. Preston, you'll go off this way. Thank you. I want to thank everyone for doing super well. Angel is our 25-year-old ambassador. Out in the wild, Angels live to be 20 to 25 years old, but in human care, thanks to the wonderful care that our staff gives Angel every single day, and with the training from helpful people like Jared, myself, and Al, and all of our other staff. Hopefully, Angel will live to be into her 40s. Wow. Angel is originally with us due to a left wing injury. She fell or got pushed out of her nest, and so she broke that wing. She did go through rehabilitation at the University of Minnesota Raptor Center. You can see
She
she's
just
starting
did that
out-
because you mentioned
I
wing.
know, right? And so she did go through rehabilitation. She actually went through 2 surgeries to try and get her back out into the wild. Unfortunately, there was far too much damage done. So while she can put her wings out and while she looks the incredible, majestic creature that she is, she unfortunately cannot fly, and that is why she is in our care. I'm turning back over to Ed and Eve.
Okay, I want to add one thing that John Woodley just told me was that Jimmy Carter actually came to Wabasha on a steamboat, which is kind of an extraordinary moment in time to think about that. And I forgot that John had been mayor as well, long before Kurt mayor, but it's good to see him as well. And anyway, I want to thank you. And Senator Smith also sent her regards. I talked to her on the way down here, and she's been here before as well. And she's really excited about the bill.